What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Tele-Dad deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is an extremely nostalgic deck that summons out one of the most powerful boss monsters ever created, Dark Armed Dragon, which is such a cool card. This is an extremely spicy list, so without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name description every single video, getting a signed cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of none other than Dark Armed Dragon, my favorite card of all time. And definitely comment down below what your favorite card of all time is. This card is amazing and it's a definite 3 of. It's super easy to summon in the deck because just by having exactly 3 dark monsters in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand, which is super easy to do in this build. This card also has a crazy powerful effect that you can banish a dark monster from your graveyard to target a card on the field and destroy it, and that is not a once per turn effect. We then play a single copy of Armageddon Knight. Armageddon Knight is an amazing card that when it's summoned to your side of the field, you get to send a dark monster from your deck to the graveyard, which is super helpful in this build. We then play a single copy of Dark Grepher. Dark Grepher is extremely helpful in this deck because this card has the ability to discard a level 5 or higher dark monster to special summon this card from your hand, and once per turn you can discard a dark monster to send a dark monster from your deck to the graveyard, which is pretty much going to set you up for your copy of Dark Armed Dragon. We then play a single copy of Destiny Hero Plasma. This card is a walking relinquished and a one-sided skill drain that's ridiculously easy to put on your side of the field. By just tributing 3 monsters on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand, and it's an amazing card to be able to play in this deck. We then play 2 copies of Destiny Hero Malicious. Malicious is great because you can banish Malicious from the graveyard to special summon another copy of itself from your deck, which is super cool to be able to do. We then play a single copy of Destiny Hero Denier. Denier is great as a 1-of in the build because this card just helps out so much in the deck. Is if this card is normal or special summon, you can take a Destiny Hero monster from your deck, graveyard, or that's banished and place it on the top of your deck, which helps you recycle your copies of Malicious, which is so cool to be able to do. This card also has the ability, if you have a Destiny Hero monster on the field or in your graveyard other than a copy of Destiny Hero Denier, you can special summon this card from your graveyard, but you can only use that effect once per duel, which is so cool to help you get cards out of the graveyard and set up for Dark Armed Dragon. We then play a single copy of Destiny Hero Celestial. Celestial is great to be able to work with our fusion spell, and it's just so cool to be able to summon out your copy of Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. This card helps out so much with Fusion Destiny because this card also helps you draw cards, which is amazing because this card has a really cool ability where you have no cards in your hand except the turn this card was sent to the grave. You can manage this card and 1 Destiny Hero monster from your graveyard to draw 2 cards, which helps you get dark monsters out of the graveyard so you can get exactly 3 to summon out Dark Armed Dragon while also getting you a draw 2. We then play a single copy of Draw Hand. Draw Hand is great to help you draw cards and it's just an awesome combo piece in the deck. We then play a single copy of Destiny Hero Diamond Dude. This card is really old school and awesome for Tele-Dad, and it's really cool to be able to use in the deck because once per turn you can excavate the top card of your deck, and if it's a normal spell card, send it to the graveyard. Otherwise, place it on the bottom of the deck. And during the main phase of your next turn, you can activate the effect of the spell card in your graveyard even if you no longer control this face-up card, which is such a cool ability. We also play a lot of targets for this card in the build. We then play 2 copies of Danger Mothman. Danger Mothman is really good because it gets you an additional monster on your side of the field, and it also just is a really good extender in the deck. And it's really good because you can reveal this card in your hand. Your opponent randomly chooses 1 card in your entire hand. You discard the chosen card. Then if the chosen card that was discarded was not Danger Mothman, you special summon Danger Mothman and draw a card. But if you discard Danger Mothman for any reason, both players draw a card and then both players discard a card, which is a really cool effect. We then play 4 for the E-Tele cards, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Psi Reflector. Psi Reflector is the best option to be able to play in this build, to be able to synchro climb into basically anything that you want to summon, which is so cool, because if this card is normal or special summon, you can add 1 Assault Mode Activate or 1 card that specific lists Assault Mode Activate in its text from your deck to your hand, except another copy of this card, which is great to be able to add your copy of Assault Beast from your deck to your hand off this card's ability. Then you can reveal a copy of Assault Mode Activate in your hand and then target 1 monster in the graveyard that specific lists Assault Mode Activate in its text, except a copy of Psi Reflector, and special summon it, and if you do, increase its level from by 1 to 4, and then you can only use the effect of this card once per turn. Now the card you're always using with this card is your copy of Assault Beast, which is going to help you get into a bunch of different synchro plays in the deck, because you're going to search out your copy of Assault Beast and then discard Assault Beast to the graveyard to search out Assault Mode Activate, so you can synchro climb into some really cool plays. Your Psi Reflector is the target that you're going to be using in this particular build to be able to summon out off your copy of E-Tele, and is the Tele of the deck. We then play 2 copies of Assault Synchron. Assault Synchron is so cool in this build because during your main phase, you can special summon this card from your hand, then you take 700 points of damage, and while this card is in the monster zone, you cannot special summon from the extra deck except Synchro monsters, but that's totally fine because as soon as this card hits the field, you're probably synchroing it away for a synchro play, which is so cool to be able to do. We then play a single copy of Plague Spreader. Plague Spreader is really good because you can put a card from your hand on top of the deck to special summon this card from the grave, which is just so good. We then also play a single copy of Magnamut and a single copy of Druis Worm. These cards are just really handy in the deck. I especially love playing Magnamut in this build because this card can actually search out Dark Arm Dragon, which is amazing. Druis Worm is just really good for spot removing, but these cards share a similar ability that when they're in your hand, you can target a light or dark monster in either player's graveyard and banish it, and if you do, special summon this card from your hand, and it's a quick effect if your opponent controls a monster, but it's really good to help you control the amount of basically dark monsters in the graveyard, plus the effect of your Magnamut is just amazing to be able to do. I love that this card can search out Dark Arm Dragon during the end phase after it's summoned, because it just searches any dragon monster that you want, so you can search it out, and then Druis Worm is just great for spot removing cards off the field. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Rhoda. We play a lot of warriors in this deck with our Destiny heroes, so this card is a definite one-of in the build. We then play 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. Allure of Darkness is really good just to help us dig into the deck for the exact cards that we need. We then play 3 copies of Destiny Draw. Destiny Draw is also amazing as a 3-of in the build, just to help us draw more into the deck, especially with the amount of Destiny heroes we're playing in this build. This card lets us draw 2 by discarding a Destiny hero monster, which is easy to be able to do in this build with the amount of targets that we have. We then play 3 copies of Upstart Goblin. I still cannot believe that this card is at 3, and it basically says, hey, play a 37 card deck, and it says, hey, let's go ahead and get to Dark Arm Dragon faster, which is really amazing because we're playing so many consistency cards in this build, and this card is amazing because it lets you draw a card, and then your opponent gains 1,000 life points, but that's not that big of a deal in this deck. We then play 3 copies of Emergency Teleport. Emergency Teleport is really good in the deck as a 3-of because it helps us special summon our copy of Psi Reflector from our deck so that we can go in for our plays. We then play 3 copies of Fusion Destiny. Fusion Destiny is really good in the deck. This card lets us fusion summon a fusion monster from our extract that lists a Destiny hero monster as a material using monsters from our hand or deck as fusion material, but destroy it during the end phase of the next turn. Also for the rest of the turn, after this effect resolves, you cannot special summon monsters except dark hero monsters, which is totally fine because you just use this card as the last card in your hand to be able to summon out your copy of Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're just going to be playing one, and that's going to be one copy of Assault Mode Activate. You only play the one copy of Assault Mode Activate to work with your copy of Sire Reflector. You're really never going to use this card outside of revealing it, and it's a bit of a brick in the deck, but you have to play it so you can use your copy of Sire Reflector to reveal this card in your hand to bring back Assault Beast from the graveyard so you can increase its level and go in for synchro plays, but you always want to keep this card in your hand or put it back into the deck with your copy of Yugioh later on once you've used your copies of Sire Reflector. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, guys, we're going to start off with a single copy of Dark Armed, the Dragon of Annihilation, the XZ version of Dark Armed Dragon. This card is so cool because it means we always have access to Dark Armed Dragon. This card has the ability once per turn, if you have exactly 5 dark monsters in your graveyard, you can XZ summon this card using one level 5 or higher Dark Dragon monster you control as material. You can also detach a material from this card and then target one card your opponent controls and destroy it, then banish one card from your graveyard. Also, this card cannot attack for the rest of the turn, but it doesn't say it can attack before you activate that effect. So you go into battle phase, swing, and then go main phase 2 and use its effect, and it's not a once per turn. We then play a single copy of Typhon. Typhon's just an amazing boss monster that's super easy to summon in just about any deck, so it's a definite one of in the build. Play a single copy of Chaos Angel. This card is also amazing to be able to make in this build. It spot removes cards off the field. If you use dark monsters to make this card, monster control cannot be destroyed by battle, and it's just really easy to make because you don't even have to use a tuner to make this card. You can use light or dark monsters to make this card, and you can treat one of them as a tuner. We then play a single copy of Dispatter. Dispatter is really easy to make in this build. It also helps you recycle your banished dark monsters, which is really good to be able to do with this card. It's also a walking negate. Speaking of walking negate, we play a single copy of Baron de Fleur. Baron de Fleur is really good in this deck because this card is a walking negate and can pop cards on the field, and it's such a powerful card in this deck. Play a single copy of Beals. Beals is one of my favorite synchro monsters ever created, and it's so cool to be able to play in this build. It's going to be destroyed by battle by card effects, and when you take battle damage, or when you take damage from an attack involving this card, or from an opponent's card effect, this card gains attack equal to the damage you took, which is a really cool effect because this card can get massive really quick. You can play a single copy of Void Ogre Dragon. This card is a spell trap negate if you don't have any cards in your hand, which is pretty easy to do in this deck with how quickly you'll go through your hand. We then play a single copy of Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon. This card is very easy to summon to your side of the field, and it combos really well with your copy of Assault Synchron to be able to basically synchro climb at anything that you want. We then play a single copy of Stardust Charge Warrior. This card just lets us draw a card when it's synchro summon, plus it's a level 6, so we can use a 4 plus a 2 to make this card. Then play a single copy of Destiny Hero, Destroyer, Phoenix, Enforcer, which, yes, we still have the Starlight Rare for this deck profile, so definitely give us a like. This card is amazing. It pops cards on the field, and it works really well in this deck because monsters that your opponent control lose 200 attack for each hero card in your graveyard, and we play a lot of hero cards in this build. We then play a single copy of Destiny Hero Dangerous. Dangerous is great because this card is a walking Foolish Burial. You get to quick effect, discard a card to send a Destiny Hero monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and if you do, Destiny Hero monsters that you control gain 200 attack for each Destiny Hero monster in your graveyard until the end of the next turn, which is a pretty cool effect. We then play a single copy of Yugioh. Yugioh is just good as a 1-of in the deck now, but this card is amazing because it helps us dig into the deck, because when this card is summoned with 4 materials that have different names, it has the ability to draw 4 and then put 3 back, and then it also has the ability to use 3 materials, then once per turn during your main phase, you can special summon a monster from the hand, which is so cool. We play a single copy of Nightmare Unicorn to spot remove stuff off the field, 1 copy of SP Little Knight because this card is just insane to be able to make. You can play any other link to like Nightmare Phoenix or something like that if you want to for a more budget option, but this card is still really good and a definite 1-of in this build, and it's a double interruption that your opponent's going to have to deal with. We then play a single copy of IP Masquerena. IP is just really good to be able to make your copy of Unicorn or SP Little Knight during the opponent's turn. Another option, if you want to, instead of the copy of SP Little Knight, you can change it out for a Stardust Dragon, which is an option for you guys if you want to change it out for that 1-of copy of Stardust Dragon to go with the copy of Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoy it. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a Tele-Dad deck before, you should definitely give this deck a try. It's one of my favorite decks to be able to play, especially a modern version of it like this that can summon out Dark Arm Dragon is just so cool, and I absolutely love summoning this awesome boss monster. So, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can come part of our notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.